Hi, I'm Diane DiResta, President and CEO of DiResta Communications and author of Knockout Presentations. It's a global world, and sooner or later you're going to be speaking internationally. I've spoken in Africa, the Caribbean, Europe, the Middle East, and South America. And although people are the same everywhere, the way they communicate is different. So I have 7 tips to help you be successful when speaking internationally. Tip number 1, study the culture. Know the protocol of your country or countries. For instance, when you greet someone, should you bow or shake hands? What's the protocol on gift giving? I recommend 2 books on the subject. The first is called Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands, and the second book is the new book by Jan Yeager called Grow Global. Number 2, meet the translator. Know in advance if it's going to be simultaneous or consecutive translation. Simultaneous happens in the moment, and consecutive translation happens after you finish your thought or sentence, and then they begin to translate. Also ask if the translator learned English in the UK or in the US. It does make a difference. And be sure that you define terms and explain all idioms. They may not understand what they are. Number 3, speak slowly, and more slowly than normal. And the reason is, when English is a second language, it takes longer to process and translate in their heads. So take your time. Number 4, be careful with body language. Gestures are a good thing, but you can unintentionally insult people when using the wrong gesture. For example, you would never show the sole of your foot or the sole of your shoe to an Arab audience. And the A-OK sign in the US is an obscenity in Brazil. Also, the amount of gestures may vary. In places like the US and the Mediterranean cultures, we tend to use a lot of gestures. In countries like Germany, Japan, Scandinavia, they use fewer hand movements. Number 5, speak the native language. Nothing will endear an audience to you better and faster than to speak a few words of their native tongue. When I was in Tanzania, I learned a few words of Kiswahili, and I opened my presentation by saying, "Good morning. I'm happy to be here." As soon as I did that, the audience broke into applause. The best way to use a few words of their language is in your opening or your greeting. Number 6, avoid humor. Even if you are a humorist and a joke teller and really natural with humor, it doesn't translate across language and cultural barriers. So forget the humor and stick to the message. And finally, number 7, learn their idioms. Just because you're talking to an English-speaking audience doesn't mean that you're speaking the same language. You don't. In fact, I learned this the hard way when I was speaking in the UK. I was doing a management seminar, and I told them that these are skills you can use back on the job. All of a sudden, everyone started laughing, and I couldn't figure out what I had said that was so funny, until I later learned that on the job means turning a trick. Rather embarrassing. So, to be successful speaking internationally, remember these 7 tips, and you'll take your place in the global village. I wish you success on the platform of life, and may every presentation be a knockout.